What commonly occurs in movies that doesn't usually happen in real life? Getting knocked unconscious for hours and then coming to and being perfectly fine. People with lower middle class jobs that live in a nice, large house in an upper middle class suburban neighborhood. Dreaming of snogging a beautiful woman but actually you are being licked by a fucking animal. Sexual harassment leading to an adorable relationship. People hanging up the phone without saying any sort of goodbye. 1. Fights don't last 20 or more minutes. 2. Gunfights where you fire 8 jillion rounds and not hit bystanders. Just WTF. 3. Sexy time lasts more than 30 seconds. A house full of kids and the whole home is pristine. In real life, there's always going to be some toy or art project laying around and most likely damage to the furniture. In murder mysteries, the person you didn't think was the killer turns out to be the killer. In most cases, the person most likely to be the killer is the killer and it is pretty obvious they did it. Also, person A goes to person B to tell them fact X which would resolve the plot but person B simply refuses to listen and person A gets teary-eyed and leaves after making some generic sad sack comment. In real life, person A would just go, "fucking listen," and say fact X. The real world in general is not nearly as combustible as action movies would have us believe. Person trying to hack into something types aggressively for 5 seconds and then says, "I'm in." Morgue and autopsy rooms frequently feature a coroner eating a pastrami sandwich over, or near a corpse. It's like a Hollywood inside joke. Pretty sure that doesn't happen, and would probably violate a bunch of health codes. Curvy-ended bedsheets that stop at the woman's armpits, and the man's waist. Someone pulls the fire alarm and the sprinklers go off. I see that shit all the time in movies. Talking in a normal level and hearing every word at a raging club. Family breakfast on a weekday. Noisy horses. As if no one is going to know it's a horse unless it whinnies. Hey Bob, is Braveheart riding a humpback whale? Whinny, oh it's a horse. I see it now. I've had horses all my life and the only time they make noise is when I go riding and my horse can no longer see his buddy or it's time for food. If we're talking statistics, my horses make more noise farting than whinnying. High school parties that are of the same caliber as college parties. News reports that apparently repeat themselves every minute or two. Enough time for somebody to see a news report, pick up the phone, call somebody to tell them to turn on the TV. Then, without changing channels, the reporter immediately starts taking it from the top once again. With cars, news reports are magic in that they are relevant to the situation and start immediately after the driver turns on the radio. People time their conversations perfectly. Very rarely do people start talking at the same time. Movies. No two characters have the same first name. I rarely grab a baguette while shopping at the grocery store. No cleanup after sex. Handguns that have infinite ammo. Handgun silencers don't sound like that. Leaving a pint of beer halfway finished at the bar. Mexico doesn't have a yellow filter. A beautiful successful woman has trouble attracting men because she's clumsy. Guns and all their click-clack sounds. Couples that have sex and never clean up their naughty parts afterwards. There is no sound in space. Booms and explosions in space should have no sound. Ever seen a car catch fire? They typically don't explode into a percussive fireball that blows out windows and knocks everyone in a 100 female radius clear off their feet. I've actually seen 3 and it is noticeable when the fire reaches the fuel tank. There's a good whoosh sound and the flames flare up squirting some lighter fluid onto the campfire, but explosions are pure Hollywood unless the fuel tank's full of fumes because the driver just ran out of gas. Hubby and I were having a laugh at CSI or a CSI equivalent show we were streaming where a female investigator wore high-heeled shoes to a crime scene and then, of course, had to run through an alley or warehouse chasing a perpetrator. I've been a litigation paralegal for 25 years and never wear high-heeled shoes to a crime scene or accident scene or to a client's home to have them review documents. Comfy shoes are the rule when navigating unfamiliar terrain. No foreplay in sex and women coming by penetration alone. It can happen, but God please have foreplay, it makes things so much better. Happy endings. People go outside and touch each other and no one has to wear a mask and they can breathe on each other and sit in a restaurant and don't need to track and trace and In the coming-of-age type shows where kids are in middle and high school seem to have 30 minutes to an hour between classes, depending on the schedule and location of my classes. Sometimes I had to jog just to make it to the next class before the tardy bell would ring. People end a conversation by abruptly walking away or hanging up the phone. Two men carrying a huge pane of glass on the street. Birth scenes. They always deliver the baby but never the placenta. Making plans with people without the actual planning part. Wanna go out tomorrow? Yeah, sure. Okay. I saw this last night and I think it fits here. When a character runs into a room in a panic saying, "We have to go now, we don't have any time," then when people ask why, he says something like, "It was them all along, I should have known, we need to go." It would have been quicker and more helpful just to say, "Dudes with guns are coming to kill us." Maze Runner, Scorch Trials, if anyone cares. Credits. Well, except this one time, I was walking my dog when suddenly bam, executive producer credit smacked me right in the face. People always coming back to life after the defibrillator. Lack of balding dudes. Full heads of hair or completely bald. No one is balding. Phone calls that connect without issue, people pick up instantly, and you can get to the point immediately. Popular kids don't hang out with selected people. Popular kids are often portrayed wrong in films. Whenever there's an open window, the curtains are blowing in and out of the open window, the windows never seem to have screens. Good guys always wins in the end. A parking spot right in front of the building they are going to. Giant, heartfelt speeches changing everyone's mind. Get revived from cardiac arrest. The success rate is not anything like what they'd have you think. You hear a man's voice say, in a world where you know some weird shit is gonna happen. People working in a very fancy office yet never having to work, just gossiping, leaving the office to go to their penthouse, on an adventure no questions asked. Getting all of your groceries packed in one paper bag with a baguette and some kind of lettuce sticking out of the top.